evening, everybody, and welcome to Liz Live, our very first evening show. I am Liz Statlander, marriage and family therapist and mental health counselor, and of course, vodcast host of Liz Live. And I'm so excited for tonight's show. I've been, talking about it all day on social media. I have my longtime friend, and I have to read. He has so many awards that I can't remember. I have to read it all. So we have my page now, not yours up, but there we go. We have Florida Boxing Hall of Fame class of 2021 and Florida Boxing Hall of Fame Special Achievement Award class of 2020, 2004 Boxing Scene Trainer of the Year and two-time nominee BWAA Trainer of the Year. And I don't know if you have any awards for training me, but you probably deserve one.
I deserve one. I think we've come a long way.
I think I've come a long, long way. But it's a really special to be here with you. Really special. I've missed you. And we haven't really talked in 10 years.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. And, one of the reasons I thought it'd be great to have you is, number one, I want the world to know what you're up to now and how you got to where you are today. Because I remember when you first moved to Miami from New York,
right.
It was we were all in a very different place 20 years ago.
Right, yeah.
How you bring, all of these people from, just being regular people to world champions, right? We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about, I think what my audience is going to be also really interested in is how boxing can really change people. I know it changed me completely.
Right.
And I feel that you have a gift. And one of those gifts is you can see people and you can see, I guess, through the muck in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how to bring out those, championship qualities in people that maybe otherwise would never have gone anywhere.
Exactly.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
I've been very excited to be on your show. And as you just mentioned, it's been a long time and you have come a long way, and so have I in 20 years.
Yeah.
It's for me it's my passion. It's what I do. My passion for what I do. And that's something I tell everybody, be honest with yourself and find, get to know yourself is the most important thing. You really got to get to know yourself so you know where you stand and then be clear about what you want to do. Make sure that what you do is something that you really care about doing. And then just, follow your dreams and that's what I do. It works for everybody. There's no secret to it. It's just, you have to be positive. You got to be determined. You got to be strong. There's going to be things that are going to get in your way. But if your passion is real and your dream, is really what you want to do, your dream, then you're not going to be, swayed to get away from it, or you just keep the focus.
So do you remember by any chance, do you remember when you first started training me 20 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I have incredible memory.
Do you remember?
I don't forget anything.
Okay.
Nothing.
So when you first met, I remember meeting you in the gym. Well, I saw you in the gym.
Right.
I saw you training somebody up in the ring. And I used to this is at South Florida Boxing. I was taking the classes and I loved boxing. I'd only lived in Florida for a few months and I loved to hit the bag. But after a while, I got sick of it. And I wanted to actually train with the trainer.
Well, you didn't feel like you were getting that personal attention that you needed. So you felt
Probably.
Like you needed more. You needed more. You needed more.
Yeah, I needed more and I wanted to go to the next level. So one day I was taking a class and I looked through there was a ring that was, up in the gym. And
we had two rings. We had two rings in there. There was two rings.
There were two rings in there?
Yeah.
So I remember watching you trading shots with this big guy. I don't remember his name. He was a big guy and you're boom, 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 boom. And the sound of the pads, it was like listening to a drummer. So it was incredible. So I said, I want to train with you. So I called Trevor and I'm like, who's the guy? Who's the guy with the earrings? He had hoop earrings.
Yeah.
And used to wear the big body protector. And
right.
He's like, oh, I can hook it up, So then I had kind of like an audition. You made me audition for you. And
you were the first girl that I ever trained.
Yeah, you were like, I only train professionals.
Right. Yeah.
So you're like, what? So I did a little. You held the pads to see if I could do it, and you were like, okay.
Yeah. I remember Trevor coming over to me and saying, Orlando, would you be interested in training a girl? And I said, no, I don't think so. I said, I'm only working with the pro fighters. And that was what I was after, winning championships and making a name for myself and competing at the highest level. So I was very consumed by that. So when he mentioned to me about training a girl, of course I'm going to say, no, I mean, no, who? And then he says, well, she's over there. And then he goes, look, I'll pay you for training her. She's not gonna fight. She's not gonna fight. She's definitely not gonna fight.
It's not
and
gonna
I'm
fight.
like, no, she's not gonna fight. And he goes, but you know what? She's a friend of mine. She's good people. And he talked me into it. And then when you came into the ring, I showed you that 1 was your left, 2 was your right, 3 was your hook, 4 the uppercut.
You taught me everything.
And you were like, you really wanted to do it so bad. You were like really excited about it.
Yeah,
so
I
then
was.
It was like you were there pretty much. We trained every day.
Every day.
5 days a week, maybe even 6 days.
Oh, I just showed up every day, and I hoped you were there. Give me some pads,
you really helped me out financially, by the way.
Well, I'm glad. I really hurt myself financially, but I'm glad it benefited you.
It worked out, yeah.
But okay, so the journey. So I was 25,
right,
or 26. So I'm 45 now.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember.
You're not shy about your age, are you?
No, I'm proud of it. I'm actually proud of it.
I know you are. Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I'm 45. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. So I remember when we were training, I was so insecure.
Yeah.
I was overweight.
Yes.
At least not where I wanted to be, and I just wanted to be a boxer. And I just loved it.
I started treating you like a fighter. We started checking your weight. And I think I told you from Jump Street, you had to lose 20 pounds.
You did.
You got to lose that.
And I went home and I cried.
She had to lose about 20 pounds.
And then I said, you know what? He's telling me the truth.
Yeah.
And you always told me the truth, whether I liked it or not,
Yeah. I treated you like a regular guy.
You kind of did. You were hard on me.
Yeah, I was a little hard on you.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Yeah. It worked out. It worked out.
It did. It worked out. It worked out. So when you first started training me, did you think, well, maybe she could be a championship fighter?
You know what? Honestly, not. But I thought maybe you could do something in the amateurs, like at an amateur level.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're very smart. You were very articulate. You knew what you were doing, and you were very determined and very focused. So I put you a couple of times, even to spar with the guys, and of course they took it easy on you.
Yeah.
But I could tell your face, expression and your movement, you were 100% into it. So I'm like, she's really consumed by it. You loved it.
You
started dieting. You started losing the weight. You started training harder, getting better, like on a day-to-day basis. And then I even mentioned, how about, us, you're doing an amateur fight. You said, well, I don't know. You think so? And I'm like, yeah, maybe you should. So, we started sparring. And we got to the point where we did an exhibition, might be somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Pad work. You hitting the pads and me on the pad for you.
Yeah.
So, and everybody was clapping. They thought you were great. And I was asked, what's her record? A couple of people, what's her record? What is she fighting? I'd love to see her. We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
My mom, all she would say is, please don't let your nose, you can't break your nose or your teeth.
Yeah, she told me.
So I remember going back in time when Glenn Johnson walked into the gym. And this is where the real, as they say, tale of the tape begins.
How far back do you remember Glenn Johnson walking into the gym? Do you remember when he came in from working construction?
I do. And as a matter of fact, you said to me that day, you said, listen, this guy's coming in. He had an ESPN fight.
Yeah, that was his first. That's our first fight together.
You said he doesn't even have gloves.
Right.
And I don't know, but what do you think? I said, I think you should do it because why not? I mean, he was going to be on TV. He had a good fight.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah, all right.
Well, the reason, you're absolutely right. The reason why I said, and I shared with you that information was I usually, if I do something, like any professional, you need a time. You got to look at a realistic time frame. You got to have awareness of what you need to do, accomplish, construct, keep, throw away, put together. And this is a very delicate matter because you're talking about two individuals risking their lives and going in there fighting.
Right.
So we're not talking about having a debate. We're not talking about, working to see who's better in a position. No, this is the hurt business. And we're talking about there's people that die from this. Everybody knows. Most
Yeah.
people know that people get pugilistic dementia because of this. It's a very they call it a sport, but it's not really a sport.
You don't think?
No, not really. People bashing their brains in,
But
pounding
there's
each other.
rules.
Yeah, there's rules.
There's
Yeah.
training.
Yeah. But
There's
sure.
beauty in it.
Yeah. But it's still brutal. It's still the hurt
Yeah.
business. It's the
Yeah,
hurt business.
and Glenn, what was it about Glenn that made you say, I think this guy has got it?
Okay. Now, when Glenn, and this is something that not everybody knows, Glenn had called me numerous times to train him. And I was working with other fighters, and he just kept on insisting. And at that time, I didn't have a cell phone. Like most people, we had the answering machine at home. Then when you get home, you press it, and I said, "Hi, this is your mom. Give me a call. I haven't seen you in so many days.
Right.
Hello, listen, I'm coming by." So you hear everybody's message like on the loudspeaker. So Glenn's message was in there. Orlando, this is Glenn. Give me a call. I want to talk to you about a fight. So it took like a week before I got back to him. So then when I get back to him, he tells me, he says, "Orlando, I have a fight in 5 or 6 weeks." It wasn't much time. And Glenn's record at that time, Glenn had 9 losses. He had 9 losses, and he was looked at as a journeyman.
Right.
He was a
Right.
journeyman, looked at as a journeyman.
Which means in boxing?
Well, the journeyman means that somebody that's, picked, specifically, to help your fighter, because he's not that dangerous, he's not that skilled, or he's not that good, so it's somebody, somewhat of a sure fight.
Okay.
It pretty much is like a sure fight. A journeyman is like
Okay.
somebody take with very little preparation, not to take anything away from Glenn. He always gave it 100%, even before me.
Yeah.
He put 100% into what he did, had tremendous heart, but just was missing one piece for his puzzle. And that was me.
That was a good
And
trainer,
that was me.
yeah.
So once, I get Glenn, I says, "Okay, Glenn, what do you got?" He says, "I got a fight in 6 weeks." In 6 weeks, I said, "Against who?" He says, "Eric Harding." Eric Harding had just got through fighting Roy Jones, which I thought, I love Roy Jones, but I thought that Harding on that night got the best of Roy, was winning the fight until he tore his bicep. Then he tears his bicep in the fight. He goes back to the corner, and then he tells his trainer at that time, one of my mentors, Al Gavin, he says, "Al, I think my bicep's gone." Al says, "Well, let me call a doctor." They call the doctor in. The doctor talks to them. They stop the fight. Now, this fight that Glenn Johnson is talking to me about is fighting Eric Harding. That's the fight. Eric Harding was like the best at that time. The guy was beating Roy Jones, and Roy Jones, everybody knows who Roy is. So, anyways, so I'm like, "How much time?" He said, 6 weeks. I said, "Where?" He said, "In New York." I said, "Is it at Jimmy's Cafe?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Is Salmo Sumichi the promoter?" He goes, "Yeah." And then I said, "How much money?" And when he told me, I didn't think the money wasn't right. And I said, "Wow." I said, "I don't know if I can help you." I said, "I don't have time. A trainer and a fighter, when they work together, they need time. Usually in 3 months, you really don't get to know each other unless you're completely all ears. You got to do exactly what I tell you, when I tell you, how I tell you. You can't think for yourself. It's the only way this is going to work. Wow. You can't resist. You got to completely, trust me in everything I ask you to do. And this is the only way that I can instill my experience, what I do, what I'm putting together, what I'm going to put together, in order for you to carry out. And through the fight, you have to listen to my instructions, because I'll be talking to you from outside the ring and telling you exactly what it is you need to know. Second by second, I will be moving you in the ring. You'll be following my instructions." He said, "Yes." So he says to Monday, 10 o'clock in the morning in the gym. And he says to me, "I can't make 10 o'clock in the morning in the gym." I said, "Why not?" He goes, "Because I'm a carpenter's helper. I'm working construction." I'm like, "So what time do you make it?" He says, 7 o'clock at night. He says, 7 o'clock at night? I got nothing for anybody at 7 o'clock at night. I'm done by 3:30, 4 o'clock. I'm done. 7 o'clock for this? Oh, Coach Lee. All right, let's try it. He comes in, and that's it when you were there.
Oh, wow.
And that's where you come into the story, and I shared you what was going on. I put on the body protector. I start patting him down, worked out. He needed speed, power, movement, head and body combination, timing. He needed everything, but he was all ears. So he was picking up everything really quick. Very fast learner, one of the, not one of it, without a doubt, the best listener I ever had. The
Really?
best. Oh, the best. I mean, he was like trusting me. If I said, Glenn, jump off the bridge, he would jump off the bridge. Jump off the bridge, we're gonna win. He jumps off the bridge.
Wow.
Whatever I told him to do, he did it, and that's how it all started.
So just sidetrack for a second. Is humility a part of a good champion?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes I feel like, especially in boxing and in anything, in that moment when you really have to perform, whether it's, doing a podcast or doing a fight, you have to believe in yourself strongly. And to go into a ring, and like you said, you could lose your life. Do you have to, like, how do you teach these boxers to handle that kind of pressure?
Well, from the beginning, they have to have certain qualifications, certain traits that are needed, and they have to be brave. They have to be tough and durable, and they gotta really want this, or they gotta have no other way, but this way, in order to get out of the poorhouse. So now, once I see what the situation is, I analyze the situation. Then from there, what I do is through time, and that's why I say it's hard to train somebody, a trainer and a fighter to have that kind of chemistry in a matter of weeks, to go into a very difficult fight for a title, which is what we did, it's very difficult. So what you do is you need time. So it would sometimes takes a couple or 3 fights. But what I do is through the training, I build their confidence.
How do you do that?
So I build their confidence you build their confidence through conditioning. You build their confidence through power training. You build their confidence through pad work, speed work, foot movement, slips, counters, punching waves, parrying back. So through all these things, and then you put them in sparring. So now it's the art of sparring. How do you match them up so you don't put them in over their head where somebody doesn't take their heart? You got to be careful with the fighter you're putting into spar, because somebody else can take his heart, and that's a term used on the inside. Inside of boxing.
What does that mean? Like hurt his ego?
If you have a fight, you're a manager, and you call me from Chicago. You tell me, Orlando, I got a fighter I want to send over. He needs sparring, and you tell me, but he really hasn't had very good sparring here, so you kind of have to be careful, with him. If you can see if you can build him up, you build the confidence through trust. Now, if by him telling me that, I know I have to be careful how I groom this guy, because if I put him in a situation where he gets his hide handed to him, that means taking the heart. That means he's got a sour taste in their mouth. And if he's got a big fight coming up, that affects their focus and their confidence and everything. So sparring is something that has to be done very carefully, very professionally, and you have to know how to match them up. So what you're teaching them, they can put into practice. And when they put that into practice, then they believe in you. Once they believe in you and they put it to practice and it works, now you have them going, because they're believing in it and they're seeing it works. So now you take them up another level. You find better sparring and then better sparring. And as you take them through these levels, you start building what is that confidence that you have, that trust between you and that fighter, and you're creating what could be, a successful fighter.
Sounds a lot like therapy.
It is.
I mean, because I'm listening to you talking, I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot of what I do with my clients. Yes. They come in broken in some way. Someone's broken their heart. Life has beaten them up in some way. And of course, they need the tools, the training, the tools, whatever, to overcome. But they have to believe in me. They have to believe.
Of course.
Or it doesn't work.
But what the belief that they have in you and what you need to do for them is has to be effective.
It has
to work, and they got to feel it working. Now, once they feel it working, now they have somebody strong in their life, somebody that can guide them, somebody that has answers, or at least gives them options, and somebody that's working with them and has their back.
That's right.
So you win them over by doing that.
Always in their corner.
Always in their corner.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So okay, if I'm thinking back, and again, I was never a professional boxer, but if I think of myself when I met you, I was not confident. I think I thought I was, and I had some confidence in some ways, but deep
You were
inside,
looking. You were looking for confidence.
I don't think I had it.
No, you didn't have it. You were looking for it. You were very strong. You had strength.
Strong.
You had a mental strength. That's what drove you. That mental strength drove you and helped you seek. And try different things. And that's what you had. But you were very, very sensitive. You were, you were, young woman starting out in the world. Out in Miami Beach by yourself. So, you had, there's a lot of things going on that you were
You called me a pansy once.
I did.
You said, come on, Elizabeth, you're acting like a pansy. Yeah, you were, but you.
But I helped. I helped you grow that tough skin that you needed.
You did. And you actually taught me, and I was dating. Okay. And I was young and I was dating these different guys and, they weren't working out or they whatever. And that would be another blow to my confidence.
By the way, that was another hat I had to wear. I had to give you advice on that one.
Yeah, you did. So I would be like, this isn't working out or that's not working out. And so you really, helped build my confidence. And I think you also taught me how to stand up for myself. Right. And I think just by doing boxing in general, I felt stronger walking around. Yeah. I felt like
you started getting that swag. You had a little swag to you. You had the confidence, and you could stand up to people or situations. Because if you could spar in the ring and you could sweat, and I could push you, beyond even your own expectations. You figure that what's a little argument with somebody?
Exactly.
You might even get in their face. Who knows what can happen then?
I might
your
even
hands
give
will just go.
My hook.
Yeah.
But I did. I walked around feeling like really confident and I liked my body better. I liked, myself better. And so all of the things that you taught me, like really helped me grow in a certain way that, I'll never forget. And I still draw on a lot of those things. And I think the pushing when you're a boxing trainer and you're pushing somebody further than they ever imagined they could go, that you start thinking, well, if he's pushing me this far, then he must believe I can do this.
Right.
So maybe I'm better than I thought, or maybe I'm more capable than I ever imagined.
And you also felt that I'm bringing you something out of you, and I'm showing you something that you can do, that you're good at, that you're progressing doing this. So it works your mind, and your mind is working your body. So all of a sudden, it's working everything. So now, you're happier. You're a happier person.
Oh, way happier. And then I fell in love with boxing. I mean, I couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
I remember sometimes you'd be like, Elizabeth, we did like 15 rounds. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, one more. One more.
Yeah.
I just loved it. Right. I loved the way it made me feel.
And then you did help put some shows together.
Yeah, I did some boxing shows.
You promoted or coordinated.
And then you told me to get my manager's license.
Yeah.
We had big dreams. We were going to do all this stuff together, but you made it. I mean, you made it. So.
Well, so did you, but not in boxing.
But
at least boxing was your springboard, your trampoline.
It was amazing. So now I also, when you started getting these big fighters, I kind of lost you a little bit because you were traveling all the time.
Right.
You were going here, you were going there. And I was excited for you, but I was sad too. Cause I wasn't.
Yeah. It affected our time together. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have you to do at the gym every day or to train and everything. Yeah. And then but I was excited because I saw you just rise to the top, boom. And okay.
Was it 2003? 2003. The knocking out of Roy Jones.
Okay. So this is the picture. If everyone can see, this is Glenn Johnson in Orlando. And this is when he won the title, right?
That's when he knocked out Roy Jones. That was the defense, our first defense of the International Boxing Federation world title. Okay. The IBF title. Yeah.
So when you look at this picture.
And that was at the FedEx Forum in Memphis.
I remember me and my whole family.
Look at my brother Frankie right there.
Frankie. We were screaming. It was the most exciting night of my life. I could only imagine.
Was the biggest fight anybody can have against Roy Jones.
Now you and Glenn journeyed to this together, and so we're going from the beginning of the story where he walks into the boxing gym and
well, he wasn't in the gym, and then he beats Harding. He goes out.
That's right. You won that fight.
He goes out. We go to New York at Jimmy's Cafe in the Bronx. It's on TV, ESPN. I don't remember, it was Tuesday or Friday night fights. It could have been Tuesday night fights. And then later on came Friday night fights. But we go out there. Glenn wins a 10-round unanimous decision, gets the USBA title.
Okay.
No, and then from there we skyrocketed all the way to the top because Glenn wasn't supposed to beat Eric Harding. No.
Well, the thing, no, people underestimated Glenn.
Yeah.
And Glenn was a really hard worker. You know, I remember that because I used to train alongside of you guys all the time. And there was Glenn, and who else was in the entourage?
I believe it was Devo. Devo was there.
And Albert.
Yeah. That went on to be also Hall of Fame and to a couple-time world champion. Yeah.
All trained by you.
Iromaselli is another story. Albert had done 5 professional fights in Vegas. And he doesn't like the way he was being treated or handled, whatever. I don't know what the story was. I don't remember the story. But I tell him, what's the story? No, I haven't fought I'm 5-0 and I haven't fought in a couple of years. I'm like, really? Come over here. So I do the patch with him. I says, let me help you back. And Albert says, I don't know. I says, come on, let me help you back. I convinced him to go back. Albert goes on to become 2-time world champion and goes into the Hall of Fame. Yep.
And he was, if I remember, was he a trainer?
He was, no, he still is. Yeah, still
he was training. Yeah. And it was like a group, and you guys were always together. And I remember I used to just watch, and Glenn had a certain, I don't know, a certain joie to him or a certain energy that was pretty amazing when you watched him train.
Yeah, he was the ever ready rabbit. He was the first one in the gym and the last one.
Yeah, he was dedicated.
Workhorse, dedicated, tough, durable. His body didn't matter to him. It was just what he needed to do. He just didn't believe in getting tired. He didn't care how much he sweated. He didn't care what time it was, and he didn't care what I told him to do. He just knew he was on a mission, and that's what it took.
And he was I haven't seen Glenn in years. I hope to have him on next. You'll come back with Glenn.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But he was such a sweet person. He was such
a
good,
humble, sweet.
I loved Glenn. I love Glenn. I still love you, Glenn, wherever you are.
Yeah. He's very, very good.
I mean, I felt so lucky to be able to just watch you guys, and watch all the sparring and,
you
just
were there.
Be a part of a little just on the side, but I love to watch it.
Talking about this, how determined Glenn was, and what I had to do was for that fight, there was no budget. We didn't have a budget. We didn't have training expense. So for sparring, I had to use, remember there was grapplers in there?
Yeah.
I had to use, back then there wasn't MMA. There was no MMA. It was just like wrestling or something. Maybe MMA just started. But there was some grapplers. I had to get somebody that weighed 225 pounds to spar with Glenn. Then I also used Congo. Remember, I don't know if you know a guy by the name of Congo. Tall.
Yes, I do.
And that became either champion in MMA or whatever.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I think his Instagram is Congo for real or something like that.
Okay.
But incredible physique. 6'6".
Big guy.
A big guy. He was always there. Went on to be very successful in MMA later on, but he was one of the guys that sparred with Glenn. Anybody that would go in there, I had to throw bodies at Glenn. If somebody didn't make it, get him out and throw another body. And that's the sparring that we used, for Eric Harding.
So what about how did you guys get the Roy Jones deal? How did that happen?
Well, we went to England right after the Harding fight. We went to England and we fought Clinton Woods a total of 3 times. And the first time, I believed it was a draw. But in that fight, everybody felt that we did enough to win it, and we felt we had it. And they called it a draw. Second fight, we go back out there, and I believe the second fight, we won it, but they took it from us.
I remember this.
It's there for everybody to see. You can dig it up. It's in the history books. It's in somewhere in YouTube. The fight is there. And then we go for the third time, and the third time they finally have to give it to us because it was just too much.
And who was the guy that backed out on him? Kawasaki?
Okay, then after we have the title, before Roy Jones. So this is how Roy Jones comes into the picture. After we win the title from Clinton Woods of England, Sheffield, England, we come back to the States, and we, the powers to be are seeing who it is that they want to match against now the new IBF light heavyweight champion of the world. So one of the names comes up is Joe Calzaghe, and Joe Calzaghe was probably in Europe the hottest, the best fighter, hottest, being, meaning the best. So, and beating everybody. Calzaghe was undefeated, and I think he might have been retired undefeated. Joe Calzaghe was an incredible fighter. So we get the offer to fight Joe Calzaghe as our first title defense for the IBF. Once you're a champion, you have to defend the title. So we accept the fight. We go to training camp at Fight Club downtown Miami.
Of course, I remember that place.
Yeah, and we train. We did 2.5 months of training. Brought in expensive sparring partners, nutritionists, masseuse, the whole schmear,
So I remember
the
when
whole
that was all
shebang.
going on.
We had everything. It was like cameras all over their place. The phones didn't stop ringing. And then a week before the fight, I think I may be wrong, maybe 10 days. It could have, short time. Before the fight, we get the call. Joe Calzaghe had a situation. I don't remember what the situation was. And the fight is off. We're gonna reschedule. Oh man! After all that running, all that sparring, all that work.
Didn't he lie and say his shoulder, his wrist, or something?
Wait a minute. So that fight is canceled and they reschedule. So we back off, take a couple of weeks. Glenn can eat up a little bit more. We cut back, send the sparring partners back. We wait. Okay, we get the date for the next fight for what's to be the rescheduling. We have the same thing again. Go back, do it all over again. Everything. Now, a week before the fight, they tell us he had a situation. I don't remember what it was. It could have been a domestic situation, with his wife, whatever. I'm not clear, but I think that's what the case was. And they pull out. At that moment, we said, that's it. And they said, no, we're going to do it again. We said, no, we can't get ready. We don't trust them anymore.
No.
Find somebody else. And then they come back and they said, how about Roy Jones?
Wow, that's how it happened.
I said Roy Jones. And then Glenn was, Glenn didn't care who it was. Then Glenn just wanted to fight. And at that time, somebody, said to the manager something like, hey, Roy Jones, you sure you guys want to go that route? Maybe you should fight somebody else and, hold on to that belt a little bit longer. Roy's, king of the hill.
Yeah, he was the man.
You guys just got the title. Come on, be realistic. You guys did a great job with Harding and overseas, but now this is too much. Hold on to the title a little bit more, milk it a little bit more. And I told them, I said, I know how to beat Roy Jones. And they looked at me like if I was crazy. I said, I know how to beat Roy Jones. I can get Glenn to beat Roy Jones. And they said, how would you do it? So I told them how I do it. And they go, okay, if you say so. Everybody's on board. You want the fight? I said, I want the fight. Let's get the fight. So we worked out the money. We went to training camp, put it all together, and then the fight unfolded, which is one of the greatest fights probably, of an underdog. Ever. We were in the ring, and Roy Jones's people, Roy was very cool. I got nothing.
He's great.
Roy, still to this day,
he's awesome.
He sent me a video the other day congratulating me on the Hall of Fame and everything.
Oh, wow.
Super, a gentleman, a real gentleman. I love Roy. But his people, or a couple of his, group, a couple of guys in his group were telling Devo, and I overheard it, just give us the belt already, man. Just give us that belt already. Just give us the belt. You're going to give us the belt. That's ours. Give us the belt. And Devo says, coach said, don't worry about it. Don't listen to them. Then the fight starts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rounds of pressure.
I remember.
And then finally in the 9th round, when one of the commentators says, right about now, Roy Jones should be turning it around. And that's when Glenn fired the jab, came with the right hand, and it was over.
Down.
That's when I get the call from you, Orlando. You're screaming, Orlando!
I was freaking
you're
out.
on the map now. They didn't stop talking about you.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, they're not stopping talking about it. Orlando and Glenn.
Oh my God!
You guys are you're on the map now.
My mom was screaming. The odds were 7-1.
Yeah.
7-1. And so we all bet on him. My entire family bet on him. Everyone, we were so excited. It was like, and I just had a funny feeling that he was going to win.
Well, because you knew what we were doing. You knew you were on the inside. You were part of the team.
Yeah.
So you knew going into this, the work we had done. And you knew, of course, we're fighting the biggest name, a living legend for the last, 15 years at that time, had been a legend and destroying people.
Yeah, I mean.
Not killing. He was just beating people up in the ring, and you knew what we were up against, but you also knew the work we did.
Yeah.
And you believed in us.
I did. I believed in you guys, and I felt like Glenn deserved it. And you deserved it. Like you got, it was like it had to be, and it was.
Yeah.
And so now, if people are watching right now and they are, you know, stuck, in some way in their life, and they don't believe that they can turn things around, or change the path of their life, which I think so many people feel that way. I feel like, the tail of the tape, no, I guess
Mm-hmm.
pun intended,
Mm-hmm.
um, for you guys showed the world, or, anyone, I definitely, what I got out of it watching it, it showed the world that, um, nothing can really trump determination.
We we did everything against all odds.
Yeah.
Against all odds.
How did you do it? Do you have a secret? Is there some way that you know how to reach people, or how did you bring all of these people to a championship?
Um, well, like I told you, I'm very honest. I'm brutally honest with everybody that comes to me. That wants to be in that line of business. And by the way, I'm in bare knuckle fighting now, also not just boxing, but bare knuckle fighting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's even more brutal. Bare knuckle fighting is no protection on the knuckles, so you can imagine. But I'm very honest with people, with the fighters, and I first listen to them. Then I get I have vibe. I'm very in tune with vibing. I pick up on their vibe. I watch everything. And if they're convinced that they really want to do this, and this is what they want to do, and do they really have to do this? You have to analyze everything. Like, where they're coming from. Do they really need this? Is this for ego? Is this just for money? Or is this the only way out?
Okay.
So analyzing that, then I go to work with them, but I have to be very honest with them. And there's been cases where they haven't had what it takes. And I thought that maybe they would, but at that moment, I tell them, look, it's not working out. You should get a 9 to 5. If they're young, I tell them, go back to school, study, do something else. But it's not for everybody. It really isn't.
No, it's not.
Because this is a little extreme. I mean, if you're going to talk about in comparison, maybe comparing a life situation, with of making a career out of fighting, you're really looking at the really extreme, comparison, because in life, no matter how hard you think things are, there's always a solution to a problem. There's always you just gotta step back, be cool, analyze, study. I said, people, we got Google today. I mean, Google tells you everything.
Yeah.
You go to Google. You get Google's your doctor. Google could be your mom. It could be your dad. It could be your advisor, your mechanic, your therapist. Yeah, it's not personal, but it'll give you an idea. We are the most fortunate civilization to ever live in the face of the earth in its history.
No doubt about
We
it.
are the luckiest civilization, and also the smartest.
No doubt. So, what do you, how do you reach people? Like, I know part of what I have to do in my work is I have to, connect with people. I have to kind of do similar things. I have to, what's their past?
Right.
Where are they coming from? What are they exposed to? Blah, all
You
those
need
things.
information. You need information in order for you to be able to diagnose.
Right. And to help them through and around whatever challenge they're facing. But I do believe that no matter how, and I've learned this from being a therapist, that no matter how bleak something may look, when there's will, there's a way out.
Mm-hmm.
Always a way out.
Right.
How do you take the wisdom that you've learned from all the years of working with people and working with a really specific type of, I would think, pro athlete, really specific type of person? What do you say to people who are in that place where they feel stuck, like Glenn Johnson was when he came to you, like I was when I came to you, like, Aaron Maselli was, all, and you even trained Tarver too. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah. What do you say? How do you get people to the other side?
If they're fighters, through my work, my work is what gives them the confidence. My work is what shows them, builds their confidence that what we do or what I do with them, it's what works. It's I'm very close to them. It's a very personal relationship. We have to have incredible chemistry.
Mhm.
And they just believe that they trust me with their life. So that's pretty much it. It's just a matter of trust between two people, and they trust that they believe in me, they believe in my expertise, they believe in my reputation, and then they start living it and experiencing it, and fight to fight they start growing, and our trust starts growing, and the chemistry is growing. So with that comes a certain bond, a
Mhm.
certain trust,
Mhm.
and then a certain feeling of invincibility.
Mm.
So, and then you start, now you're really rolling. Now you become, a force. But how I developed this was when I came from Cuba when I was very, very young. I
Mhm.
was I was 3 years old, and when I came to America, um, I didn't speak English. I had four brothers, sisters. At that time, that needed. I was second oldest, so they needed the attention from my mom. My father was always working, so I was pretty much in the streets. So I didn't speak the language. I had to, I didn't understand the system, so it was very hard on me. So I had to survive. I had to survive, and it was in New York because when we came over, we were in Miami 2 years, and then we moved to New York, and we moved to the Bronx, Hunts Point in the Bronx,
Wow.
which is a very dangerous area. So when we moved, it's funny. My parents were oblivious to everything. They went where the rent was cheap because they didn't
Well,
speak the
why
language.
not?
Where the rent is cheap because that way you have more money saved,
Sure.
left over when you're working. So where do we wind up? We wind up Hunts Point in the Bronx. Now when you go to Hunts Point in the Bronx, you're either Puerto Rican or you're black. There was no whites. And guess what they thought I was? White.
Uh-oh.
So, I was stuck in the middle. So then what happened was I started getting along with both sides. I started surviving, finding survival and there was a lot of racial tension. We're talking about in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
In
Yeah.
the 60s, the racial tension, you could cut the air. There was so much racial tension. It was really bad. People were like blocks in their area. You didn't leave that area because it was just like that. You had the Italians in New York. You had the Irish. You had the only Spaniards were the Puerto Ricans at that time. There was
Okay.
nobody else. And then you had the American blacks over there. So I had to survive with the blacks, get along with the blacks somehow, and with the whites. But what got me through was they knew that I didn't understand the English and I was from somewhere else. And they didn't know Cuba. Where's Cuba? For kids, Cuba kids didn't know where Cuba. So I'm talking
Right.
about I was 5, 6 years old and I'm running around with guys that are 11, 12, 13 years old. So I had to survive. I had to survive. One time somebody told my father, they said in the Bronx, the streets are very white. And they said, Orlando, your son is crossing the street without looking. And he says to me, what? He says, your son is crossing the street without looking. So he watched me one day, he called me, he said, how do you cross the street without looking? I says, I don't look, I just listen. And if I hear the car coming, you can hear the car coming. I said, once I hear the car coming, then I know to stop or go. I said, but when I cross, I don't look because I hear. I can hear. So I had developed that ability to
Wow.
yeah. No, but in New York I learned, and then they taught me how to put water in balloons and shoot them from the roofs. And one day we're throwing hot water balloons from the roof, and everybody wore hats back then. It was cold. And this guy walks by, and I threw a balloon, and it landed in front of him on his feet. And when he looks up, it's my father. He goes, "Get over here!"
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, the
Oh.
beating I got because
Oh
back then
no.
there was no, child abuse or no. If a kid did something wrong, remember the deans in school and everything. In school, even I went to private school. One time I took a beating from the nuns. That's all it took. I was a fast learner. You only gave me one beating, and I knew I either could beat you or I had to straighten myself out.
Your dad was a cop, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that wasn't easy.
No, it wasn't easy.
Uh-uh.
No, he was very strong, very strict, and he always said that children only speak when chickens can pee. That's a Spanish saying.
Okay.
Chickens don't pee, so that means children never speak. So whenever we had company come over to our house, we had to go hide in the room or go play and stay away from the adults.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
Does any of that play into your work today?
Yeah. I had
The discipline.
the discipline, the focus, the survival, everything. I remember one time, or a few times, when I first noticed that my father was playing dominoes in our house. Okay, when they play dominoes, Puerto Ricans, and by then there was some Cubans. So they're playing dominoes. They play all night. So my father one time asked for coffee. He goes, Orlando, go make some coffee. Make some coffee for us. And I went and made some coffee. So when I bring the coffee back, in the tray that I brought the coffee, they're all giving me pennies and nickels. But back then, a penny and a nickel, goes a long way.
Yeah.
We get 3 pieces of gum for a penny. For a nickel, you get a soda or a sandwich.
That's right.
So, anyways, so this is 1964. So I'm showing my age now. Anyway, so I take the coffee to them. When they get the coffee, they start putting all this change in the trays. And then I go back to the kitchen. I'm looking at all this money. And I tell my sister, Elena, I said, Elena, we're going to hit big. She says, what are we going to do? I said, look at the money I got. I said, let's start giving these guys coffee more often. So we go like that. Put on a white shirt. I took my hair and I split it halfway, this way, that. And then I put on a white shirt, like if I was a waiter.
Oh, my God.
And I'm 6 years old. 6 years old. Oh. I go out there with the tray. Everybody started giving money. And then I did like 3 or more times until somebody says, hey, listen, why don't we just give them money not to come back around? Because I'm not going to be able to sleep for 2 days. Oh, this guy gives every 5 minutes, he's coming around with coffee. They all started laughing. And then I got $1 here and $1 there. And they said, that's it. So now every Friday night, I knew I was going to make my pocket change.
Wow.
Yeah. The hustle, you got to be,
I used to make my cousin's bed for 50 cents.
Yeah, you see?
And, that was big money. I was thrilled. Yeah. Maybe $1, Yeah. It was a big time. So, I mean, obviously your dad had to have been tough. I mean, strict police officer.
I learned a lot from him. Yeah, I learned a lot from him.
Big family.
Yeah. Close, very close.
Not a ton of attention, because you were sort of second oldest. You weren't the oldest, you were the youngest,
Yeah.
How did you get into boxing? Because didn't you used to train a couple of like Geraldo and Bob Dylan and all those guys?
I went to Coral Park. As a matter of fact, I went to this same year. I played football on the same team as Stephen Bauer, which was Rocky Chavarria, Manolo in the movie Scarface.
Oh my gosh!
He was the second string quarterback on our team. Oh, wow. And also on the same team was another gentleman that his name is Victor Rivas. Is also, if you look him up, he's an actor in Hollywood. Also another actor. So that was my 10th grade in high school. I also was on the weightlifting team. We used to get letters. In high school. So I had a letter for track and field. I was a shot putter and discus thrower. I had a letter for the weightlifting team, and I had a letter for football. I was a 3-letter man.
Wow.
Not a 1-letter man, a 2-letter man. I was a 3-letter man. And then I was going to the Dinner Key Auditorium, and this is in 10th grade, going to 11th grade, 10th and 11th grade, go to Dinner Key Auditorium, which my first trainer was Fernando Valido, which was the manager of Kid Gavilan, the Kid Gavilan in Cuba. And I met him through my father, which used to play dominoes with my father, but now years later in Miami, not in New York. So that's how I started boxing, at the Dinner Key Auditorium as an amateur.
Oh, wow.
So from there, I thought I had what it took. So I am in contact with a trainer in Vegas by the name of Johnny Garcia. So that's how I started getting into boxing a little bit deeper and deeper. Now, I couldn't continue my boxing career because of the asthma and bronchitis, because I had it chronic. And not only that, but when you're getting ready to fight, your adrenaline, you got adrenaline rush, you got all this energy. And what happened to me, that triggered the asthma.
Oh, no.
So I could do 1 round, 2 rounds, maybe 3 rounds, but I was gassing out. I couldn't breathe. And we didn't have the inhalers back then.
That's right.
You didn't have that. You take a little sour yellow pill that was horrible, and it took a long time to work. It wasn't like the inhaler immediately.
Okay.
It doesn't open up your lungs. So I found, I told my dad, I said, look, I'm frustrated. He said, if you want to stay in boxing, why don't you just train? Start training people. So in 1980, I started training people in the same gym that I trained. I started training, and there was Oscar Bonavina, Ringo that fought Cassius Clay. Or Muhammad Ali at that time was Cassius Clay. Joe King Roman from Puerto Rico, that only the old timers remember Joe King Roman from Puerto Rico. Leroy Haley. So that's where I started training the fighters. I did that for 4 years. Then I moved to Hollywood, and I'm training fighters in Hollywood 4 years later. And then from Hollywood, I go to New York in 1985. And in 85, I started training fighters at the Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn up until 2000. Oh, wow. The world famous. That's that's the Mecca in America. Gleason's Gym has the greatest history. the greatest history. You know, I mean, look, the Fifth Street Gym, the original Fifth Street Gym, had Willie Pastrana, Vinny Couto, Florentino Fernandez, Marcel Clay, and Cassius Clay. Angelo Dundee, which was the trainer, and then you had Chris Dundee, which is a manager, promoter. And that's another story because I was at that gym at the beginning. So, but Gleason's still running. Fifth Street Gym closed down. Gleason's Gym is still going. So it goes to show you the history. And you know how New York is in boxing. You know, Madison Square Garden.
It's huge.
The Mecca. Miami wasn't even developed yet.
Right.
Miami was like, it's a little town. There was 4 streets in Miami.
That's right.
And New York was already New York.
So now, didn't you work for Geraldo?
Yeah. Geraldo Rivera opens up a gym. He decides to open up I was a waiter, by the way, as moonlighting as a waiter at the Russian Tea Room. Very good restaurant.
Okay.
Next to Carnegie Hall.
Yeah, it's another famous.
Yeah, the Russian Tea Room. So there I met, you know,
everybody.
I got a story of celebrity. Henry Kissinger, Barbara Walters, Anna Nicole Smith, Sly Stallone, Tony Danza, man, so many people.
Okay.
And then I meet Geraldo Rivera. He goes, you're a fighter? I said, yeah. He goes, why don't we spar? So I sparred with Geraldo.
You must have killed him.
No, not at all.
You just don't want to say anything.
No, not
Geraldo.
at all. No, Geraldo's my boy. I love Geraldo. No, so we did the sparring, and then he said, I was training at the Kingsway Boxing Gym in Times Square. I was between there and Gleason's. I like jumping around. I still do. I don't know. And he says to me, Geraldo says, Orlando, how would you like to be a trainer in a gym that I'm opening up? He said, but it's going to be exclusive, only celebrities. I said, okay. So he opens up a gym on 7th and 57th, I believe, called on the 5th floor. Called the name was the Broadcast Boxing Gym because Geraldo was in broadcasting.
That's right.
So he opens up that gym. Now the gym at that time was $2,000 a month, and we're talking about 1990, 1992 or 93.
$2,000 a month.
Who can afford that? So who do we have in there? I trained Bob Dylan for the last Woodstock, New York. I'll have you know that.
You told me that whole story.
And you remember the story?
I know.
Bob Dylan. I trained Bob Dylan for the last Woodstock. Bianca Jagger. Mick Jagger.
I used to talk about her a lot. I remember that.
Yeah, I think even Marla Maples. Remember Marla Maples?
That was
one of Trump's
second
wife,
baby mama or something.
Yeah, something like that.
She's a baby mama.
Yeah, Tony Danza.
He married her.
Yeah, Tony Danza also was.
Loved him.
Yeah, Tony Danza. Yeah, and after his skiing accident, he had a skiing accident.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he had a skiing accident where he almost, broke his neck, and then he used to be an amateur boxer, by the way. Tony Danza was.
I didn't know that.
He had some success. He was really good, tough, Yeah, did really good in the amateurs, but then, he always had that in him. He liked that, so he comes back after the skiing accident. I want to train a little bit. So he trained also Felix Trinidad.
Oh, wow.
Trained in that gym, the Broadcast Boxing. Geraldo sparred. I put Geraldo to spar with Roberto Duran.
No way.
Yeah. Pernell Whitaker, God rest his soul, also sparred with Geraldo in that gym. With Geraldo. Oh, yeah. Geraldo wanted to spar with everybody, and he was 51 at the time.
How old is he now?
Geraldo, if he was 51 if he was 51 in 94, do the math, 94, 2004, 2014. Wow.
He's got to be
close to 80.
80.
Close to 80. And he was fantastic.
He does. I was just saying, I didn't realize he was that old. Because I see him on Fox News fighting with Dan Bongino. They just fight. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so you've had quite a career.
Yeah.
What motivates you?
It's really a passion. It's a passion. I don't compete with anybody else. And here's a message for everybody. Talking about self-confidence and and motivation and everything. I don't compete with anybody else. I compete with myself. That's what I do. I don't go out there and try to be better than this guy. I don't look at that guy. I don't study what others would consider competition. To me, I don't have competition because it doesn't matter. I mean, I know how the world works and I know how life is. You could be up today and down tomorrow. You just, I just look at myself, what I need to do, and my consistency and my belief in myself. So the best thing I can tell everybody is stop looking around, stop looking at social media, comparing yourself, trying to live like, somebody else, trying to keep up with the Joneses. Just look at what you need to do. and focus on that. Keep your focus. It's all about you. Don't try to be somebody else and don't compete with anybody else. Compete with yourself. Always trying to make yourself better, and that's really what it's all about. Take a look at yourself and make yourself better.
Right. I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
So tell us what you're doing now. Who are you working with? I know you're working with some really exciting young fighters.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
who are you working with, and what's on the schedule for the next 5-10 years? You don't know.
I don't know. I can't look. You know what? The other thing is, take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Going back to what we're talking about. All right. We can't look. It's good to project. It's good to set goals as long as they're realistic. But people, keep your goals short term. So and that way you can accomplish it, and don't be chasing a carrot that you're not going to reach for the next 10 years. I don't look at it that way. I live every day. I give 100% every day. I keep the focus every day, one day at a time, one day at a time. That's all I can do. I can only control the moment I'm in. And for me to be in this moment, I have to have planned it from yesterday. So plans for me are from a day-to-day basis. I can have vision. I have vision.
Mm-hmm.
I have vision, and you need vision.
Okay.
It's good. But inside vision, you have to have, a day-to-day routine, and look at it in day-to-day. You can't see a year from now, 2 years from now like that. You can, but the world the way it is today, and the things are changing and people are changing, it's best to deal with the moment right now. So I deal with it on a day-to-day basis. That's how I do it, and that's how I'm able to be in the moment. I always tell my fighters and my people, hey, even people, I train people that are not fighters, that just like the hear my motivation,
Mm-hmm.
my confidence, and and just the energy that I put out. I tell them, look, be in the moment. Be in the moment, because this is what's really in your control. Don't worry about yesterday. Don't worry about tomorrow, which of course within that you have to plan for tomorrow, but don't worry about means handle what you're doing right now. This is your fight. This is the battle right now. What you're doing, whether you're hitting the tire, the hammer, tire with the hammer, whether you're jumping rope, or you're hitting the bag or running, whatever you're doing, be in the moment right now. And this is what I try to teach everybody: be in the moment. Don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about next year. No, not like that. When you're in the moment, that's what you can look at. Don't be in the moment and be thinking about tomorrow. Don't be in the moment and be thinking about yesterday.
Right.
No, you have to be in the moment. And what is it you need? Take a good look at yourself and what you need, though, in order to keep you going in that positivity and that construction type, of mentality. And that's really the key. Be in the moment.
Okay. So I think that's good advice, especially when you're in crisis. Thinking about the future is going to give you really bad anxiety, and thinking about the past is going to make you very depressed. And staying in the moment is really
it's taking a real good look at where you're at and do something about it. That's really what it means.
Yeah.
Be in the moment, because it's what you can control, and do something about it.
Right.
And if you don't know what to do about it, ask somebody.
Right. Ask for help.
Ask for help. You got to ask for help.
Start boxing. Find a therapist. Do something.
Look, and if you
got a twofer right here.
That's it. You get a bundle deal.
Yeah, 2 for 1. Okay, so before we just wrap it up, I want to hear about who are you working with now, and like what's going on with you now.
All right. I'm working with Ryan Jones, King Bach, on Instagram, from Canada.
Okay.
Which is a young, exciting fighter that I believe, can go as far as he wants to go. In that type of situation, he's mentally strong, physically tough, and very smart, and a great listener. And then also I have Riley Badillo from New York.
Okay.
Which comes from Gleason's gym.
Oh wow.
All the way to train with me in Miami.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and Riley is a very promising fighter also, with everything needed in order to be successful in this sport. And of course they need a little fine tuning, a little grooming, a little polishing. But that's why I'm there. To make sure that they're on the right track, and we're constructing going through different levels of construction that there are, or it's necessary in order to get to the elite and stay in the elite. So I call it the building blocks process.
Okay.
And that's really strong base, and then from there we go through the different dimensions, and we only move as fast or as good as we can go. We never try to do something in a hurry. No. I'm the type of teacher, because I'm a teacher, I'm not
Yeah,
a
you
trainer.
are.
I'm a teacher. What I do is I work with them individually. I don't like big classes because I know I can't help everybody like that. So what I do is I take them one at a time, a small class where I can give you 110%, and you might move a little faster than the next person, but then I'll make sure that that person either catches up with you or they're getting what they need in order to keep progressing. So I pay close attention and I move everybody at their own speed. But we must get that 1% improvement every day. It has to be 1% improvement, and I am really strong on that. We must improve. The listening must get better. The focus must get better, and it'll reflect. The work will reflect all those different components coming together. Now, also I mentioned Ryan Jones from Canada, Willie Badillo from New York, also Ulysses Diaz,
Okay.
the monster popular here in Miami. And by the way, recently scored the fastest knockout in combat sports, bare knuckle,
Oh
which is
my.
Guinness Book of World Records. I think has it at 2 or 3 seconds. 2 or 3 is amazing. Yuli the Monster Diaz, yeah. Yuli the Monster Diaz, and also I've been in talks recently, and I just got the good news about a week ago, or something like a week ago, from Jean Pascal, two-time world champion.
Oh wow.
Would I be interested in working with him? And I said, of course. So he said, okay, I'm interested. I like to. I see you as my new head coach.
Oh
So
wow.
now that's it. The team is formed. Jean Pascal, Commander Zero, Orlando Cuellar. We're moving forward. Probably in November, we'd like to get in. He's at a very high level, world class level. Legendary fighter. With an illustrious career, and I'm going to add more years to his already illustrious career. So I'm excited about that, and that's making big move. Merle, did I miss anybody? Oh, Dylan Kleckler, of course. How can I miss heavyweight? Incredible! What a good person. If you don't know, he's a bare knuckle fighter, an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, because he's so humble, so quiet, and he is a killer in bare knuckle. Right now, he's 2-0, and he's fighting in Mississippi. When, Merle?
Biloxi, Mississippi.
And August 20th. He's fighting in Mississippi August 20th. So Dylan Klecker is another one that I believe in bare knuckle is going to go far.
So, and are you working with all these guys every day?
Yeah, pretty much. When they fight, they have some time off, and then somebody else's fight's coming up. So it's constantly, for me, it's a fight after a fight after a fight after a fight. So I got to keep the energy, I got to keep the focus, and I got to have the game plan and the construction, and everybody's an individual, and how I work everybody based on the specific style they're about to face. No, for me, it's like Matrix. It's like constantly thinking, strategy, technique, and then reaching in my bag of tools, going back in my Rolodex of experience. Oh, yeah, and I love it.
I can't even imagine.
I love it. I'll be doing this until
it's
my last
overwhelming.
day.
I bet you will.
Oh, yeah, no, this was keeping
so
young. Yeah.
If a 45-year-old Jewish girl from Squirrel Hill wanted to get in your schedule somehow.
We'd have to take her in the gym and see if she still got it.
We'll see if I still have it.
She's been out for a minute.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Well,
but I'd like to meet all these people and have them come over and have a good show with
you can have a great show with all of them. They all have a story to tell.
Well, the thing is also that I find what I love about fighters and people in boxing is they're driven. And I like people with drive and ambition, because they inspire me. They make me excited, and they make me feel. I mean, if you're around people who are not motivated, it doesn't feel good to me. I like to be around motivated, excited,
good energy.
Because the energy, you share that energy with the people that are around you, So I'm looking forward to seeing you flourish in the rest of your career. I'm so excited. And I'm just so thankful that you and Merle could make it up here to Aventura to reconnect with me. And we'll do it again. And we wish you lots of luck.
Thank you.
I think, there's so many messages that we could take away from a lot of the stories that we heard tonight. But I think for the Liz Live viewers, never give up, and determination and hard work will always make the difference between you and everybody else.
And compete with yourself and nobody else.
That's right.
Just compete with yourself.
Don't focus on what everyone else is doing. Just, and I think that's a big mistake.
Be honest with yourself and get to know yourself.
Yeah.
That's the key right there. Get to know yourself.
I'm so happy you came. I'm so happy.
I'm happy you have me.
And
Happy to
this
be
was
here.
fun, and we could go all night, but we're,
Yeah,
people are probably like getting tired.
We probably will, but once the camera goes off, we'll go all
That's
night.
right, because we're gonna go have a drink. We're gonna do a little whiskey or something.
something
Like that. All right. Well, thank you for watching Liz Live. Please remember, if you are not subscribed to my channel, to click that button below and subscribe. And we are here now every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock and every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. You're watching Liz Live. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the ring. All right.